All right, let's dive right in because we've got a situation that's, well, it's packed with contradictions and some pretty huge global risks. We're looking at the Strait of Hormuz, and what's happening there is confusing, to say the least. On one side, we're seeing what looks a lot like acts of war, and on the other, we're hearing words of peace. So, what's really going on? How do we make sense of these totally mixed signals? Let's break it all down.
Okay, so here's the puzzle at the heart of all this. You've got these two totally different signals. On one hand, the official talk, the diplomatic language, it all points towards a conflict that's winding down. But then you look at the military actions, and it looks like a conflict is just getting started. It's the classic case of watch what they do, not what they say, playing out on a massive global stage. And here it is, laid out plain as day. On the left, you have the US president telling Fox News the war is close to over. Okay, sounds good. But then, on the right, you see the US military launching a complete economic blockade of Iran's sea trade. I mean, how do you square that circle? These two things just don't seem to fit in the same reality. How can a war possibly be ending when a major act of war is just beginning? So let's really focus on that military action for a second, because the implications here are, well, they're severe. This isn't just flexing muscles or posturing. The US military has actually started a blockade. And that begs the question, what does it really mean to completely halt an entire nation's trade by sea? You know, it's important we're all on the same page with this term. The official definition is absolutely crucial here. A naval blockade? It's not just a sanction. It's not a trade penalty. By pretty much any international standard, it is an act of war. We're talking about using your navy to physically prevent ships from getting in or out of an enemy's ports. It's cutting off their economic lifeline. So yeah, when you hear the word blockade, you should be thinking major, serious military escalation. And listen to the specific language coming from the military. It is absolutely unambiguous. They didn't say trade was restricted or that ships were being inspected. Nope. They said it has been completely halted. That's a total economic siege by sea. It affects everything, oil tankers, cargo ships, you name it. The message couldn't be clearer, and it's designed to be powerful. We are in control here.
But, and this is where the plot thickens, while all this is going on, while the blockade is active, the story takes a really interesting turn. Because at the exact same time that warships are patrolling the strait, you've got diplomats meeting in quiet rooms, thousands of miles away.
So we're actually seeing two major diplomatic tracks opening up. First, there are these hints of a second round of face-to-face talks between the US and Iran, maybe in Pakistan. And then there's something that's frankly even more surprising. Israel and Lebanon are holding rare direct talks in Washington, D.C. Now, this is incredibly unusual, especially when you consider there are ongoing attacks in the region. It's this really complex diplomatic dance happening right in the shadow of that military blockade. And all of this, of course, leads us to the billion-dollar question, right? Are these talks a real thing? Are they a genuine off-ramp from a much wider, scarier conflict? Or is this all just political theater, a way to manage how things look to the public while the situation on the ground actually gets worse? The answer, whatever it is, has consequences for literally all of us.
And that's because this is not just a regional story. The Strait of Hormuz, this is the choke point for something like a fifth of the entire world's oil supply. Any kind of disruption there sends massive shockwaves through the global economy. So this is where tension in the Middle East suddenly becomes very, very personal. This is where it connects directly to your wallet. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at what the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, is saying. They've put out this incredibly stark warning. Their words? Any further escalation in the war on Iran could push the global economy into recession. That's not a small statement. Just let that sink in for a second. A global recession. That's the potential price tag on these mixed signals. That is what is really at stake here, and it goes way, way beyond the immediate conflict zone. So as we start to pull this all together, you can see the situation is basically balanced on a knife's edge. It really boils down to two possible futures, two very different paths that lead to two drastically different outcomes. So path number one is de-escalation. In this version, the talks work. They find a diplomatic solution, tensions go down, the blockade is lifted, and basically the entire world breathes a collective sigh of relief. Then there's path number two, escalation. The talks fall apart, the blockade stays in place, the military posturing leads to some kind of miscalculation, and that warning from the IMF, it becomes our reality. We're talking a wider conflict and a worldwide economic downturn. Which leaves us right here with this one final critical question. With the entire world economy hanging in the balance, which signal is going to be the one that defines what happens next? Is it going to be the words of peace coming from those diplomatic talks? Or will it be the actions of war, the warships enforcing that blockade? I guess we'll all be watching to find out.